SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Recovery is a team sport, and Parkwood Behavioral Health System can help you get back in the game of life and break free from addiction. Visit parkwoodbhs.com. Parkwood, your recovery team for life's biggest wins. With limited exceptions, physicians are not employees or agents of this facility.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21. I want you to believe me, baby.
Way past 21. 21 lasted for about 6 minutes. That's what it felt like. Good morning to you. Friday morning, and we are here and ready to go for another edition of Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here, Lance over in the booth. How you doing this morning, man?
Buenos dias, man. It's a Friday. Got a lot to digest, obviously, through a week of news, but you got football in front of you. And, you know, a lot of games mean stuff, so should be a little spotty on the weather maybe across the state here and there. But, I mean, it's going to be a fun weekend, I hope. And you got a lot of folks out still probably getting hunting plots and deer camp and everything where they need it so they could have that special season. So, you know, it's the confluence of so many things. And then I think basketball's actually happening too, right? Didn't we just hang up the spikes for baseball? Basketball's now what we're looking forward to, I guess, during the winter. And so, yeah, there's so much going on, and it feels like Halloween was 2 months ago.
Yeah. Well, that's the news cycle right now. Well, I say right now, that's been the news cycle for, what, a couple of years now?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing boring about living in the world today unless you're like an ostrich and you just stick your head in the sand, but there's plenty to deal with. Fun, the bad stuff, and everything in between.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. If you listen to the voices, the bad stuff far outweighs the good stuff by about 100 to 1 because that's all anybody does is complain.
Yeah, well, we can't complain about the weather because, you know, it's not going to do any good, right?
Well, I was going to say, we can complain about the weather.
That's one thing that the Lord will not let us change unless you have HARP. I guess if you do have the high altitude, auroral frequency deal up there in Alaska. And I think, if you got that, maybe you can. Create you some thunderstorms and stuff like that. But, you know, somebody like me at my pay grade, I'm not working HARP. So I'm just going to roll with the forecast. The Delta, 20% chance of showers today. It's going to be up to about 80 degrees. I could tell you this morning it was humid coming into the office. Yeah. I don't know how you felt, but I was like, here's rain coming.
Well, and it's that I was talking to my wife about this last night. You walk out the door, and it's that specific type of humidity where you can tell rain is on the way.
Yeah, you can tell. It should be Saturday when it arrives, maybe Saturday night, about a 30% chance of showers Saturday night in the Delta, 20% chance today before 7 a.m. So you may get some here early in the morning. And the temperatures are going to be hovering around 80. Now, when we get into next week, things drop and start getting the wind. The lows will be in the 30s. It'll be wintry when we get to Monday. But you got one more weekend of this 80 degrees. So if you've put the ryegrass seed out and all, you might want to throw a little water on it if you don't get the rain. Just speaking from experience here, that dainty stuff likes to melt in this 80 plus.
You sound like a man who has overseen a dusty, dry field before.
Oh, that in a yard. I've got a horse dog, a German short-haired pointer, and everything is fetchable, right? You know, and he has to do it at 182 miles an hour, and his feet are like big saucers. So every time he stops or cuts, it just absolutely rips through ground, and he loves it. And so, yeah, it's a constant process. That's just experience speaking there. We got a Oxford, pretty big ball game up there. I mean, it's not a huge opponent, but you got to keep winning. The Fighting Fortresses will come into town, and of Citadel. And Saturday, that forecast is going to be around 75. Today, a 40% chance of showers. Same temperature, about 75 degrees. So Oxford's looking maybe get a little rain after 5 p.m. today, so through the evening. But tomorrow, much lighter, 20% chance there. So hopefully it'll hold off. And that early game, you'll get to have a good breakfast bowl with the squirrels and get out there and watch a victory. But it'll get down to the upper 20s with a low on Sunday night. So if you're sticking around town, you might want to bring a parka, because that's a pretty big, divergence there from 80 to 27. You make sure you had your flu shot or whatever.
It's a little bit of a difference there. Yeah. You walk in the store, you walk back out, you've entered a whole new world.
Well, my mother, she told me yesterday, she said, I went and got my flu shot. And I was like, oh, God, I know how that always works. You feel a little down for a minute. So she got the call from my sister yesterday, and they're going to Oxford, So I'm like, oh, goodness, it's going to be you're going to be up there at 80 degrees and 28 degrees potentially. So, yeah, make sure you bundle up. But you can't miss those.
The sniffles are on the way.
Sniffles are coming, buddy. Get ready. Everybody's household will have quite a few sniffles before too long. So get your vitamin C in. Go on and do your emergency boosts and all that good stuff. Let's see, on the coast, 30% chance of showers today, mainly before 2 p.m., so maybe it'll get out of the way. High 75 tonight, around 63. Light wind. And then tomorrow, much prettier day. It doesn't look like there's going to be much on the list for rain tomorrow. Probably partly cloudy and a little fog in the morning. But, again, up to about 76 degrees. Sunday night, 40, though, on the coast. So that, again, you get that nice 40-degree drop. That'll make you feel good about yourself. And then East Mississippi over in Meridian, chance of showers between 11 and 3 today. May have some dense fog this morning, so be careful going to work. And the chance of the wet stuff today in East Mississippi, 40%, and that may continue through the evening as well. And then Saturday night, you're looking at a slight chance of showers on the east side of the state as well, about 40%, with a low around 54. So it'll drop a little bit tomorrow night and through Sunday. And as you get to Monday over in the east, it's going to be 31 Monday night, or Sunday night is a low, and then Monday a little warmer. So that kind of catches us up on the weekend weather outlook.
Well, and here's the thing, and I've been doing this all week on the local show, and I'm not going to skip today. Be 5 straight days this week. I've put out the reminder. You know for a fact when the first below freezing weather is coming, so go ahead and do your preparations now. The 4 Ps, as they call them, pets, plants, pipes, and people, bring them all inside. Well, don't bring the pipes inside.
Some of them are already there already, right?
Yeah, the ones that are outside have to stay outside, but you got to get them wrapped and insulated and all that stuff. Check the antifreeze in your car. Do all the things that you would do when you heard a big freeze was coming because, well, a big freeze is coming, you haven't looked at any of that in quite a while. So go ahead. Right now, you've got a warning in advance. Plenty of time to get it taken care of.
Yeah, that's the first one. The pipes will bust. People will have problems. Just go in and have the plumber on speed dial and make sure you have everything wrapped as well as you can. Dogs, plants, all the people. Don't be spending the night outside if you're the cat. Both my cats are religious about being outside, but it's funny, as soon as it gets cold, under that, they're like looking at you like, okay, yeah, we're not doing this tonight, so let me in, please. And one of them, he loves to just meow all the time when he wants out. It'd be 3 a.m, so he better get his act together.
I got a notice that was just slid over on the desk for me here from the staff. We just received notice from the Emergency Plumbers Local 692.
Yes. Yeah.
Do not wrap your pipes this weekend.
Don't wrap them.
Yeah. Okay. The plumbers would much rather not wrap.
Yeah, they're like, hey man,
your pipes.
We're going to make a little quick money here this weekend. That's when you're a plumber, and you got to be ready to go because it all happens at once.
Yes.
It happens at once.
And it has to be fixed now.
Yeah, no, that's my point. You got people, that's the worst feeling when you have no hot water, no water, or anything, and you got to get to work. You got kids, got to get to school, got to cook stuff. No fun there. Well, we had a pretty nice, laid back what happened on this day. One of the interesting ones in 1996, NASA launched the Mars Global Surveyor. It was a robotic spacecraft designed to carry out a long-term study of the planet. Well, they lost contact with it in 2006, so you got 10 years out of it. But it made me think, it's like, What is that thing doing out there? Do you think maybe some aliens just like hijacked it, riding it around the galaxy? They're like, I love this, man. What has it got, the Lambo engine in it, you know? But you think 10 years is a pretty long time for a rover or spacecraft surveyor, but you lose sight of it in 06. That thing's been floating around out there forever, man.
Well, Mars Observer was just a satellite. It was a big camera is all it was. Basically, we shot a Polaroid into space, and it sent the pictures back. Once it ran out of power and was no longer able to power itself, just like usually happens on these things, well, it's just currently still orbiting Mars, taking up space.
It's just a hoopty in space now.
Yes. Yes. We have an observer, we have a satellite circling Mars that's up on blocks. That's basically what we have.
I love it. There's got to be so much of that,
for you.
Yeah, so much of that junk floating around out there too, man.
Oh yeah. Well,
the actual space station is going to fall to Earth here by like 2036 or something. You know?
I think it's coming up quicker than that, and it's not going to fall. They're going to deorbit it so they can pick the spot. You know who's going to be doing that?
Drop it into the ocean.
You know who's in charge of that?
Elon.
Yep.
Spaceman.
Who else would you want?
Yeah. He knows how to get it done.
This guy's got this stuff figured out. We continue. We're just getting warmed up, and we're not that warm yet, so we're going to work on it and increase the temperature. When we return on middays, mornings. Wrong show, Dave. It's been that kind of month. It's only the 7th.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Pour yourself a cup of coffee and get the Magnolia State's most important news of the day. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back to Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. Community Bank, more than just a place to manage your money. Your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors are all there at Community Bank. For decades, they've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's just opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, they're here for you every step of the way. Dedicated to their customers, committed to your success, and always there when you need them. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. Okay, so we got cold weather on the way immediately after the end of the regular season of football.
I mean, that's the way it rolls. You know, sometimes it's so hot, and then you get the freezing cold here as you get into the playoff or the bowl season. I remember some of the coldest times I've ever had in football were that bowl game. I mean, you're not supposed to. You're in the South, and it's like 4. Yeah. But it was 80 a week ago. Yeah, it's something about it. I don't know. And October the 31st, I mean, that was also, or the 30th, or whatever, whenever Halloween normally is. Those are some of the more coin toss type. Winter can be now, or it can be a little while, but we're in that moment where you're kind of in between, where it just doesn't seem very committed yet. But it will get there by about Sunday night. It seems like we will have commitment from Old Man Winter, and I'm kind of ready for it, man. The heat, I don't know. I can live without it for a few months, I think.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't get too cold.
Yeah, just go take a hot shower or soak in a bath or something, and get the cold out of the bones, as they say. That always helps.
Your predecessor there in the booth on the morning show, Perez, my buddy, he and I survived the big ice storm a few years ago.
Yeah, I slept up here.
We were actually skating down County Line Road.
Oh man, you were brave.
Just to get. Well, we were hungry. We were just trying to get to Denny's.
Yeah,
and,
that's across the street over there.
Yeah,
I bet it was. Was it busy on the ice day? Because not many people around here really. That's like a holiday. If one one little flake happens, and it's holiday season.
And it was as slick as it could be. And if you've noticed, Denny's is kind of steeply downhill from the intersection right there. So going down was quick, going up was torturous. When we left, because we got in there and they only had so much food, and they already had more people waiting in line than they had food to serve, so we just turned around and walked out.
Yeah, I can only imagine in an ice storm. But yeah, I spent the night up here, I don't know, a couple of years ago when we had the real bad one. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, we'll put you up at the hotel over there. I'm like, man, I won't wake up in some hotel at 4:00 in the morning. I'm just sleep in my office. Like, are you sure? Yeah, I got this, man. I got this.
So anyway, as long as it doesn't get too cold, I like the cooler weather. The freezing cold weather, no, you can keep that.
I don't mind as long as I can get to work, honestly. That's my experience over the last couple of years. As long as it doesn't freeze me out of getting here, because that is kind of a pain in the butt, honestly. When you got to spend the night at the office and make sure everything's running and all that. I mean, it's kind of a pain in the butt because you don't really get to sleep in the bed.
I toasted a bagel on the iron in the hotel room to eat.
Great.
Trust me, getting to work was not my problem. Calories, that's what I was looking for.
The good thing is there's that one gas station around there. I know the folks over there, and if you're ever in a pinch, those little taquito things that put on the little hot dog roller, man, I crush those.
They are delicious, but they were closed because nobody could get in.
Nobody could work.
So, it was, nobody showed up with supplies for a camping trip.
You didn't have snowshoes and MREs, right?
The Sherpas had taken the week off already. The reindeer were hibernating. We had nothing else we could do.
Have you ordered anything, this season yet? Like Sherpa lined anything, or are you stocked up for the season, do you think? Because I did. I placed one of those orders the other day, and I've been anxiously awaiting my Sherpa lined whatever. I can't even remember. It seems like it's a month ago when I ordered it. But
talking about the weather last night, and my wife said, do you need me to order you some long johns? I said, no, I never could work the trap door properly, so we'll skip that.
I got the buttons back there.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't need buttons. Come on.
That was a horrible design. When you're in a hurry, you don't have time to unbutton and then flap.
The speed flap, right. It's not meant for speed. Well, on this day in 1980, American movie star and one of my faves, Steve McQueen, known for his portrayal of macho loners in films such as The Great Escape and Bullet and many others. He died at the age of 50 years old on this day. Were you a Steve McQueen fan?
Oh, yeah.
What a cool
guy.
How
could you not be?
That's what I'm saying,
I just chuckled when you said he was known for playing macho loners, and I'm like, yeah, was he really playing?
No, I think that was him.
That was kind of him.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
Now, another big day in history, if you grew up in a certain era from different strokes, and Dana Plato, she passed away in 99. She would have been 61 years old on this day, though. This was her birthday. She had actually appeared in over 100 commercials by the age of 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, somebody was busy, but yet had a kind of tragic life there, and always loved her though. She, and then she was gone. So you also had Madame Curie, passed in her birthday is today, 1934. She passed, a pioneering chemist. She discovered radium and polonium, became the first woman to win the Nobel Prize in 1903. She was also the first person and only woman to win it twice. So that's a pretty big deal. Thank you for discovering radium and polonium. Billy Graham, his birthday, 2018, America's pastor. He passed in 2018. He's appeared on Gallup's list of most admired men and women 55 times since 1955. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see. He said once bailed Martin Luther King Jr. out of jail in the 1960s. I bet that was a great conversation on the way home, just between those two.
You think about
a good doctor out of jail.
There are always the standard answers when you get into one of those late night conversations about if you had a time machine, what would you go back and see? I'd love to go back and be a fly on the wall when Billy Graham walks in to bail MLK out of jail. Yeah. What's the conversation as they're walking out the door? I would have loved to have heard that.
It's like, hey, you owe me, And let's go in and take care of that. What time is it? And you wonder where they ended up. Was it a diner, or what was the next stop? Probably not the hotel room, I imagine.
Waffle House? I don't know.
What was available then?
Yeah.
Let's see. And then every lefty's favorite, you got to make sure that we mention him. In 1940, he passed away. Good old Leon Trotsky, Russian revolutionary. He was the founder and first leader of the Red Army. So, you'd think that all these lefties would wear more red. Since that's their idol.
No, it cuts down on turnout at the polling place, which, as we saw in New York City, is not something they're doing right now. So
no, you got to go with purple hair. The late explorer Captain James Cook, 1779, he passed. It was his birthday today as well. He mapped the South Pacific, Australia, and Hawaii. Now, what a job, right? Think of that. There's so many jobs you could have in the Navy back in the 1700s. And a lot of it's war, right? I mean, you probably in cold areas and cannon fodder, everything, and scallywags jumping on your boat and trying to steal everything. This guy's rolling around the South Pacific and Australia and Hawaii, just living the good life, running around with breadfruit. I had that conversation with Garden Mama the other day. I said, what in the world is a breadfruit? But apparently it was a big deal back then. If you watch a lot of videos or do some research, they were traveling with these breadfruits all over the place, man. It was as important as gold back then. It's like, I was like, why? What is a breadfruit?
You talk about people now, see you're bringing it up and making me talk about local stuff again, but I'm down here in Pike County. SuperTalk Pike County is the local station here, named after Zebulon Pike. There are Pike counties all over America in various states named after him, and guess who they named Pikes Peak after?
That guy.
Same guy.
Zebulon.
Leon Trotsky. No, Zebulon Pike. So that generation, that group, and generation is too strict of a term. It was decades and decades of men that went out and said, what's over there?
Yeah.
Let's go find out. And just did it all over the place, and it was really admirable to me.
Like Shackleton and Admiral Byrd and some of those that do the polls, man, that's even more mind-blowing to me because you're going into an area where, like you freeze solid in about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Hey, man, let's go out there with some dogs and check it out. War hero, I want to mention this one, Marcus Luttrell, 50 years old today. Former United States Navy SEAL received the Navy Cross and Purple Heart for his actions in June '05 facing Taliban fighters during Operation Red Wings. Most people probably remember that name. So that's about the biggest ones on the as far as the birthdays today. There were some other actors in there, but those were the big ones. And that's
big
it.
Day.
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget Christopher Knight, Brady Bunch fame. Peter Brady, 68. Yeah, he's 68 today.
Well, I had to go look it up when we were talking about different strokes. Todd Bridges, the guy to play Willis, only one still alive from that show.
And that's hard to believe, too, because he had it kind of rough there for a minute.
Yeah, he almost didn't make it, but seems to have pulled through quite nicely. We continue on this Friday morning on Middays here on SuperTalk Mississippi right
Middays
after this.
Again. There you go.
Did I do it again?
Yeah.
I'm going home. That's it.
From the Seabrook dot.
Shaping Mississippi politics each morning. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk Mississippi.
As you're down and out, and you feel real hurt.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi, one of these shows, mornings on this Friday.
I wasn't trying to sidetrack you there, but I was like, when he threw you a midday, I'm like, man, his brain is on that. You've got it grilled in there. I know how you feel.
Well, yeah, see, that's the problem because when you float back and forth from one show to another, I haven't introduced this as Dave in the Morning on Super Talk Pike County yet, so I'm proud of myself. It's one of those things where you just get used to saying something, and it just kind of comes out. But when you're floating all over the place, you're basically a paladin. You're a nomadic,
You're like the teacher
person.
you're like the teacher that didn't have a room, but she always had everything she owned on that TV stand and the TV that she wheeled around all over the place. You'd be like, "Hey, Miss Walden, how you doing?" "Oh yeah, I'm off to period 4. You're like that. You're just going wherever the people are, man. You know?
With one squeaky wheel on the cart. There was always one squeaky wheel on that TV cart.
VHS ruled, man. Come on.
We had some high school football last night.
No, we did not.
Oh, yes, we did on a Thursday.
Yeah, it was a lot of it, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much most of your 7A teams played last night. I'm going to go with those. Tonight we'll cover everything. There were playoffs, 4, 3, 2, and 1A and others, so it's a lot going on, and I don't think we'll have time to cover it all, but I'll hit some of the bigger games. Picayune lost one last night in the 6A. I'll get to that in a second. But some big games tonight. Last night, Pearl dropped one to Oak Grove 28-7. Horn Lake 40-17 over Lewisburg. Tupelo put it down on DeSoto Central. Kind of a common thread there with Tupelo and DeSoto Central there. 42-19. South Haven dropped one to Hernando 31-14. Good ball game down here in Central Mississippi between Madison Central and Clinton. I think Clinton jumped out early, but Madison Central did what they do and just play ball. And the Clinton team's tough. That 28-16, Madison Central won that one. Brandon easily over Meridian after some, had the coach stepping down and all that, and they've kind of coming into the playoff mark, and that district is going to be a real interesting one to see. I think you got Oak Grove, Petal, Brandon, and Northwest Rankin, all that will be in there. I think that's your pecking order. A lot of parity there. And Biloxi got blanked by D'Iberville 28-0. Ocean Springs wins over St. Martin 49-21. Germantown blanks Murrah 56-0. Starkville dropped one in the Little Egg Bowl 27-21 to Oxford. Oxford playing really, really good football. Starkville's an extremely talented team, so that was a heck of a game. And then Gulfport kind of does what they do, man. They've been playing. Cooper Crosby and team down there with another big victory last night, 45-13 over Harrison Central. And then Northwest Rankin, they were victorious after dropping a heartbreaker last week to Oak Grove in a last-second field goal where the kicker for Oak Grove, I think, pretty much owned the game. Northwest bounces back and wins that one 34-28. So let me get over here. I had the 6A stuff, and that was one I wanted to mention. Picayune, a team that doesn't lose much, lost a game last night. You're like, what happened here? Picayune dropped one to Pearl River Central 28-21. Pearl River Central is kind of in the driver's seat on that one pretty much out of the gate. Ridgeland, big win last night here locally, 56-16. Grenada back on the winning track there, 49-16. They got a little soft here in the second half of the season. Pascagoula won another one big time, 49-12 over Gaucher. And then Hattiesburg, who's having one heck of a season, and Terry, too. I thought this game would be pretty close. Ended up being pretty lopsided, actually, with Hattiesburg winning at 48-21. And then the Vikings of Warren Central, victorious again, another great team. Probably the best team, maybe, in that 6A ranks. We'll see, 34-14 over Canton. So a lot of other games out there, but those are ones that I kind of wanted to highlight. We'll cover everything tonight in great detail. And as the scores come through, there'll be ones we have from last night, and then we'll have a lot of games tonight. And then in JUCO ball, I wanted to say there is a MAC semifinal ball game, 2 of those on Saturday, which is the 8th, between Northwest Mississippi Community College and Co-Lin. That's a 2 o'clock kickoff, Saturday the 8th. That's a semifinal game. And then you'll have Mississippi Gulf Coast traveling to East Mississippi to play a 3 o'clock semifinal ball game. So kind of winding down over there. Pretty soon you'll have your JUCO champion. And we've had some teams here, I think 5 were in the top 25 through most of the season in the National JUCO polls. So,
well, and that's what I was about to say. You got a decent set of odds that whoever wins the state championship is going to be in the conversation for the national championship.
That's right, it is. And kind of a action-packed weekend, a kind of lowbrow game in Oxford, but very important. It is a noon kickoff. You never know how those go. It could be a slow start and the engine just sputtered and popping, and it didn't. You don't really. And then you get to half, and then you put 30 on them. You're hoping you jump out on this team kind of quick and allow some of the younger dudes to play and get some experience, because you got a big week. Florida coming into town, and then you have Mississippi State to finish the season on the 28th of November. So big ball games in front of Ole Miss. All of them are must win. And that kind of the same way with State. They finally got over the hump. You're 5-4, and then you get rewarded by playing Georgia at 11 a.m. In Starkville. So that's your reward.
That's a reward?
We're my feeling, and I keep saying this, I'm high on the Dogs. I think that they have a great team. Showed last week that they could win that. Now, I know it was Arkansas, but Arkansas scores a lot of points. That old Bobby Petrino, motorcycle man over there on the sidelines, and So that was a tough win and did it on the road. So now you get to come home and play Georgia. So good luck to the Dogs. I'm pulling for you. We need y'all to beat Georgia. And then you got Missouri the next week and finish with Ole Miss. So, again, I wouldn't say must wins, but these are games that, State's handed a couple away. You'd like to see them kind of win them and then get to that Ole Miss game with a lot to play for. Southern Miss is riding a heater, man. They're 6-2, 4-0. In the conference,
just say they're good. Just admit it.
Hey, everybody in my family, other than my sister and I, went to Southern Miss, so I'm definitely a big fan and a huge proponent of what Huff is doing there. And again, I just think the discipline and the structure, the belief in the system, belief in your coach, augmenting it with good players, and it's just something that it all came together. And you got a big game at 11 a.m. So everybody on the big three are playing breakfast bowls here this weekend. They got Arkansas State, and they will have to travel over to Jonesboro to play that one. And Arkansas State, not a bad team. They snuck up on somebody. I can't remember who it was a week or two ago, and beat them and weren't supposed to. So Southern can't sleep at the wheel here. They got a lot to play for, and a 6-2 season right now. 7-2 sounds a lot better, doesn't it? So 8-2, and let's keep going. And then finally, Delta State has had one heck of a season, too. They dropped a game early in the season, like the third game against UNC Pembroke. They dropped it 25-21, reeled off 5 in a row. I believe it was 5. And then ran across University of West Florida last weekend. Lost that one 51-38. They hosted them. But they'll go on the road this weekend to kind of right that wrong, hopefully, against Valdosta State. They'll travel to Valdosta, Georgia. It is a Gulf South Conference game. And they'll finish on the 15th against Kentucky State, a team I haven't heard of. But they have the moniker the Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. That's their I thought Murray State was the Thoroughbreds. So I didn't know you could have two Thoroughbreds.
Apparently you can.
It's very big business up there, man. But that catches us up with all of the that kind of goodie.
One note, I don't know if you heard about this. They put out a statement. George County and Forest Hill were playing last night. They did not play last night.
Okay. I saw the score, but I didn't see one reported on that. And
George County put out a notice on Facebook about 6 o'clock last night, so right before game time, saying, "We regret to inform our fans that tonight's football game was canceled without prior notice from the Mississippi High School Activities Association. The game has been rescheduled for tomorrow night, tonight, at Forest Hill instead of at George County." No explanation has been forthcoming about what happened.
There were a couple of games, and again, I'm not sure because it's hard to find information at times. Unless it's X or something, but a couple were rescheduled because of potential rain issues last night, which I don't know exactly which ones they were. So, but I saw that. I just didn't see a score on it. So thank you for the update.
Yeah, they didn't play. They're playing tonight. You'll get to deal with that tonight. Yeah. But on the bright side, so far we're on track to go to the sign that we have on the wall that we had to change to 0 last week, and change it back to 1 for a number of weeks we have gone in football where every team ran plays in the second half.
Yeah. Return the clock. That Marshall Academy story was crazy. I knew
it was going to happen. When they announced the new playoff structure, I actually laid out this scenario. I said, what's to stop that from happening? Well, not much, as it turns out.
It is. I hope that they resolve the MAIS setup. I don't like it. Again, they didn't ask me up front, so we just report it. That was one of the crazier things I'd heard. And, you had kids over there in, like, their pajamas. It wasn't like they just showed up and said, okay, the second half, let's not play. It was set up.
Oh, yeah, it was planned.
I hate that for the visiting team, too, to come in and take something seriously, and then you get, it's pretty much made a mockery out of it. So that's...
they literally took a dive so that they could play for the other state championship.
Well, and one team that's really just having one heck of a season before we go to break here in Central Mississippi, Lanier is 10-1. They lost a game last week to Cleveland Central 22-12. Got back on the right last night versus Vicksburg 31-8. So one team there just having a phenomenal season. So much love out to you, Lanier. I know that's you got a lot to play for in front of you as well. So we'll get a lot more into that later this evening, though.
Well, when we come back, we're going to test our luck in a different way because it's time to talk about the Mississippi Lottery and your bank balance. One of those numbers is a lot bigger than the other one. Let's swap them, shall we? We'll talk about how you do that next on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Track
With Richard Cross, here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
What else?
And always on the SuperTalk app.
Welcome back. It is time to talk about the Mississippi Lottery, and we don't have time to give all the winners. Lance, I don't know if you scroll down and look at the list of winners just from Cash 3 yesterday.
Yeah, that's a little much, isn't it, man? We'd be here to the third segment of the next hour.
That's close to 20 winners of various amounts. I added up during the break. This is what I do for fun during the break. This is also where my brain goes. I was like, I wonder how much that was total. Added up all of the winners from Cash 3 yesterday. This is just from yesterday. Added up, won a total of $88,425.
Yeah, the Ocean Springs lady, though. That's the
22 tickets, $33,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, first of all, 22 tickets. I hope she. It says like Dandy Dan's and Keith's and Wiggins, Government Quick Stop, Quick Mart, Bow Wow's, Fast Mart number 7. She's got a little track there. She's hitting. Yeah,
she's got a system.
I wonder if she knows where it won. Which one, was the big winner?
Well, she may have played the same numbers every time.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And just won all of them. Also want to point out, probably the most popular winning amount was $1,500 because yesterday, again, these are winners from Thursday, just yesterday. Players from Macomb, Clinton, Columbus, Madison, Goodman, Sunflower, and Port Gibson each won $1,500 on Cash 3. Yesterday. Not all week, yesterday. And then the amounts just go up from there. It's just absolutely flabbergasting. But that's the thing. There is so much money to be won out there. Cash 3, of course, is one of those where you have 2 drawings a day. And the ones that bought multiple tickets, maybe they bought a midday drawing and an evening drawing, and both of them hit.
So your brain's working today. It's Friday for me, man.
Yeah.
Paul and I would always laugh. Like, we would read the ones like 9 tickets, and they'd win $50,000. I'm like, how did they do that?
Yeah. Well, yesterday, the Cash 3, the midday drawing numbers were 140. The evening drawing numbers were 318. If you got a midday ticket and had those 3 numbers, you won. If you got an evening ticket and you had 318 as your numbers, you won again. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to win with Cash 3. Cash 4 is the same way. Only had one winner in Cash 4. Yesterday was a Cash 3 day.
Took over.
But that one winner did win $5,000 in Port Gibson on Cash 4. So
Cash 3 was this was a wrestling match between Cash 3 and Cash 4. It was one-sided, man. That Cash 3 was leaning on it all day. I mean, goodness gracious. I've never seen that many at one time.
No, that's the biggest winner list I have seen. Like I said, bro, getting close to 20 different people won, and the lowest prize amount won was won by 3 different players. Each won $870. That's as low as it went.
Yeah, and 2 of them were from Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it when the Alabama folks come over and spend their money.
Over.
Yeah, come on over and get you a ticket, man.
They sneak across the border, get a ticket, and then run back home and wait for the drawing. I don't blame them. I did that for many years before we wised up and realized we were throwing money out the window and got the Mississippi Lottery going. I was always in support of that. Thought it was a great idea. And it's turned out that way. We had new games start, new scratch-offs, the $2 Candy Cane Cash, $5 Merry Multiplier, and the $20 Full of 5,000s ticket had a winner on that yesterday.
Who's the alliteration king over that names these games because somebody's got a great degree in English. I need to bring JT in and see if he can come up with some too, because there's some great names. I mean, they come up with the Candy Cane Cash and Mary Multiplier and Full of 5,000s. I mean,
somebody over there, they don't have a word-a-day calendar. They just have an unabridged thesaurus, and they just flip through it.
It's like it's the John Kennedy version of lottery, right? I mean, they just come up with these great one-liners. I mean, that's what it is.
But anyway, the Full of 5,000s, that game just hit on Tuesday. It just dropped. It had 2 winners yesterday. Have to correct myself. Each of them won $5,000. One in Brandon, one in Jackson on the Full of 5,000s tickets. Brand new game, and it's going good. Speaking of going good, Mega Millions. Tonight's drawing $843 million jackpot. Estimated cash value $391.7 million. Do not sneeze in the general direction of the Powerball. It's up to $467 million. Estimated cash value $220.7. I'm going to climb out on a limb, judging from what happened yesterday. Now, as always, you'll find this phrase familiar, Lance. Previous performance is no indicator of future earnings. Having said that, you might want to drop $1 on a cash 3. Yeah. Looking at what happened yesterday.
Maybe I'll cash 4 tomorrow. You never know.
You got any cash 8s in there? I'll take some of those too. It doesn't matter. Mississippi Lottery, stop by your retailer, get your tickets today. And if you think you're going to do it on an app, you haven't been listening, that doesn't exist. You got to go in the store and buy the ticket yourself. We have news from Fox News, SuperTalk.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Mornings on SuperTalk, Mississippi. This hour brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough. If you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, it's a lot of people in your same boat. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can give you a full range of employer services and a custom plan that fits you and your business. Call today at 601-206-7966 or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. Coming up later in the hour, Mandy Gunasekara is going to join us. Absolutely nothing going on in Washington, so I don't know. We'll swap recipes, I guess. There's really not. Yeah, there's a ton to talk about.
It is the season. It is the season for recipe swapping.
Yeah. Well, at this point, it'd be more pleasant than anything else we could talk about.
Just throw a can of cream mushroom in it, and it's good to go. Huh?
Have you heard the name Zanaya Monáe?
I mean, no. Okay, you got me on that one.
Well, you're going to keep hearing about it. That is the artificial intelligence generated avatar of a woman here in Mississippi, Talisha Nikki Jones. Okay, Miss Jones used the AI platform Suno to create some R&B songs. For the first time in history, last week, one of her songs debuted at number 30 on the Billboard R&B radio airplay chart. She just signed a $3 million deal with a record company based on that.
No, I don't know, man. The whole AI stuff, generating, songs and images and, basically before long, you're just going to write a script and tell it to make a movie.
Well,
there's not going to be one real thing in it.
Here are the criticisms of AI as it stands right now that a lot of people have. It's a very common attitude. People are going to lose their jobs to it. It's allowing misinformation and disinformation to spread everywhere. The quality of the work is not what it was when it was, created by actual people. It's lesser quality. And it's teaching people to not think for themselves. Well, wait. No, I'm sorry. That's a list of the vocal fighting criticisms in public when they invented the printing press in the 1400s. Literally, that was it. The scribes and calligraphers got upset because this is going to take away jobs. The church in Europe said that it was going to allow misinformation to spread, and the scribes and the other people all said that the printing press, when you printed a book instead of handwriting every single thing that was put out, well, it was lower quality. There was no artistic merit. And Plato, of all people, Plato criticized all of this and said he criticized publishing in general, writing stuff down. He said because then people don't have to rely on their memories. They're able to just go and pick it up and read it again if they need to, and that's really discouraging proper thinking techniques. I haven't heard a single criticism of AI that wasn't made 600 years ago about something that everybody would riot if they took it away now.
Well, like Brenton Caledonia says, it's Skynet, right? Terminated before long. It's okay.
I've been hearing that my entire life, too, and I'm almost 60.
It's funny, though, that it really is, as any new innovation comes, you have always have the naysayers, and you have always those that seem to ride it and find the best way to use it. The only issue I really have with AI is trusting it to do and make decisions. At what point do we give the rights that we have fought for to artificial intelligence to administer? Because the printing press, although revolutionary, isn't something that thought for man. And that's the one place that I have an issue with AI is, as you said, and one of the critiques on the printing press was that it did have a tendency to make people think less. And in this case, I think you and I both agree, if you just go out on X, do people think anymore? It's amazing.
But that's not AI. No, that's social media. I'll agree with you there. It's the type of communication, but that's not. We're conflating two different things here. That's not AI.
Well, some of it, I'd say, from a lot of my experience on X, because I use it for research, but there are so many bots out there that it's hard to distinguish between what is real and isn't. And I think that's kind of where my worry is. And I used AI a great deal in the finance world, and it was very helpful. It allowed you to going from extremes in that is very difficult. You want to, polarize things to find weaknesses and strengths. And AI was what we called it was mostly a filter then. But it was just it was instrumental, I would say, in revolutionizing how modern finance works today. Now, with that said, I'm not as big a fan of allowing these systems to make decisions autonomously of man. I think man needs to have input. Now,
I am going to kind of call you on the carpet a little bit because this whole conversation started about you were complaining that it was generating music.
No, I wasn't complaining. I just think
now all of a sudden it's just making decisions. No, we can't keep moving the goalpost here. To me, AI is a tool. It's just like a gun. Do guns kill people? No, the people that misuse them do. Does AI cause problems? No, the people that misuse it do.
Well, I agree with that. And again, I don't have a problem with people making music on it. I guess from growing up in a time where I liked the band, I like seeing the people collaborate, the syncopation, watching them look at each other for timing and those things. That's more of where, my values are with music and how difficult it is to create in that artistic sense. I don't have a problem with people using AI to create, such blockbusters. We're doing it in movies all the time. And so, I don't necessarily have a problem with it other than I just hope that we're able to distinguish between what was created by a human being and who and maybe those things that might have been created by a system itself and with obviously human input. It's just a revolutionary time. Things are changing in that regard, and I think we're all trying to learn how to, embrace it the right way without being critical of it,
I had a buddy of mine in radio. And we got our very first computer to do audio editing on, which is the standard in broadcast radio now. He refused to learn how to use it to the point to where he got fired. And they told him, you're either going to learn to use this or you're going to get fired. He said, well, fire me then. And they fired him. Mm-hmm. And he was done in the radio business at that point, because change terrifies everybody.
And it's a constant, too.
Yes, and that's the problem. We keep fighting it in the same ways for the same reasons, and we've yet to really be right.
Right. I mean, I use AI quite a bit in terms of shortcuts, and you always double check and all that. And I find it to be extremely helpful. And I've used many platforms over the years that offer different pieces. It's just now it's much more in a one-stop shopping area. And I think that's one of the things that'll be interesting to see as well as we go forward, or how you deal with that. I mean, big companies in that world, they'll have a lot of power and they'll have a lot of data and a lot of information. And I just hope that we're, as humans, we're paying attention to the ball, right? We don't let it get away from us.
This story is a great example of taking the power away from the big corporations, though, because a girl in Mississippi sat in her bedroom and wound up on the Billboard chart with a $3 million thing. And you know how? This song went viral on TikTok, which, again, didn't involve any promotion from a major radio record label. And then people started requesting it at radio stations, and it started getting played. And nobody realized that it was an AI song. I saw in one story about it, they were talking to a program director at, of all things, an R&B station in Toronto. Don't look at me. And he said, well, when I heard it, I said, man, this is like a Beyonce track. This is a really good track. We got to add this in. So at what point do we stop letting creative works win on their merits just because we don't like what tool was used to make them?
Oh, I think you're making a great point. Yeah, I mean, it's everybody's so different, and I think even as we move forward, our individualities are much more magnified as we have social media, and you have an expression where you can have a spot you can go out there and type and do and communicate. So I believe people are becoming more individualistic, and I think that Grok and a lot of these others, OpenAI, they're very helpful. But, it takes time to learn them, right? Learning how to use something. And I think that's the change part that I'm most interested in. How can we learn how to use these tools the best way, right?
Yeah, but I see a lot of people are immediately just screaming at the heavens and groaning and going, rolling their eyes and go, AI, I don't like AI.
You're using it. Everybody's using it one way or the other. You just don't know it.
Whether you know it or not, you're using it. I would just like to point out two things. Number one, a shovel is a useful tool. As long as you don't hit somebody over the head with it, everything has a good side and a bad side. The other thing, we've got something leading children astray from their studies and encouraging them to stay indoors rather than playing outside. Video games? No. AI? No. That was the argument against broadcast radio taking off in the 1930s. This is how stupid the arguments about AI now are going to sound.
From the Venable Glass.
From Sumner to Summit to Summerall, Richard has something for you. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
The golf clap of appreciation. Well done.
I was trying to sneak that one in there for you, buddy.
That was absolutely perfect. Yeah. But anyway, let's
That's our new language here. That's going to be on every street sign, and it won't be Spanish. It won't be Chinese. It's going to be data.
That's who's replacing us. They're just going to play that all day, and we'll move on with our lives. But
I think there were a lot of cuss words in that, but I can't translate data, so I don't know.
They were robotic cuss words. Cursing loses some juice in binary, I'm just saying. Exactly. But anyway, all of that aside, Congratulations to Talisha Jones. She goes by Nikki, apparently. And what she refers to her extension of herself, Zanaya Monet, who has a Billboard Top 30 radio airplay R&B song on the Billboard charts right now, right here in Mississippi. So, go team. Good job.
Excellent.
Proud
work.
of you. Excellent work.
Keep innovating.
Yes, and make sure you encourage those kids to get outside and play more.
Turn the radio off, huh?
That's the thing.
Old man hollering at clouds here.
You can go back 600 years, and every time anything new has come along, it's the same exact arguments against it. Every single time.
Well, I mean, how many people did the shovel put out of work, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
There were people crawling around, and they had long fingernails, and there was somebody standing back there going, dig, dig, dig. And then somebody shows up with a shovel. Yeah, and all those guys are out of work now.
Brought an end to the career of the legend of Handy Harold, who was just out there scooping it nonstop.
Where do you want me to put it, sir?
So, yeah, you go back through history, you study history, and it is littered with examples of things that now you would look at someone like they had lost it if you said, oh, we should stop printing any book ever anywhere. Well, when that started, the same arguments were made against that that's being made against AI now. And I'm not even weighing in on benefits versus detriments of AI. It's not going away.
Well, it's not going anywhere.
So it doesn't matter if you think it's beneficial or not. Try to come up with a unique reason why AI is bad that wasn't used to describe radio, books, writing things down, Plato, and as it turns out, I was looking during the break, also Socrates had the same idea. We shouldn't be writing stuff down. It's encouraging people to think less.
Well, one of our listeners did make a great request. He said, well, SuperTalk could save on radio personality salaries, huh?
Yeah. It's already happened. Yeah. Not here. But here is the thing. Here is what everybody misses. They tried it. They've got one in Seattle right now. They actually paid someone for the rights to use their voice and then trained an AI on that voice, and it auto-generates all the talk breaks. It's a music station. They did that in Australia on a station, and it was 6 months before anyone noticed.
Yeah,
that's how good it was.
I think AI would probably make more than me, so I think my job is safe at the moment.
AI cannot grow this beard, so this is my competitive advantage. That's what I'm looking at it as.
AI would need way more maintenance than I need, So.
I'm just saying we need to come up with different arguments against it than the ones that have failed to stop anything ever. Mm-hmm. The old saying about doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the height of insanity. We're making all the same arguments against this that we have made against everything else, and it's never worked before. I don't know what we think we're spending our time doing now. That's my point. But most people don't realize that all of those arguments have been made before, so they think they're being original and standing up for what's right, and they may be, but they're doing it in a proven, ineffective way. Put it like that. This isn't something we should be talking about. We woke up this morning in a paradise. Nancy Pelosi is on her way out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the box wine companies are going to see an increase in sales without her having much to do. So
nobody is going to sell ice cream in California ever again.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm curious where a lot of the congressional leaders are going to get their inside information for buying stocks now. So.
Yeah, well, that's I saw a figure on it just a second ago. When she took office 38 years ago, her net worth was $165,000. Now, her salary, $165,000. That was her total net worth. Her salary was $174,000 a year. That was in 1987. She's currently worth $280 million. Nah, nothing's been going on there.
No, everybody has that kind of rate of return.
Yeah. Good grief. You do know, and I'm sure you've seen it, somebody put together an auto list that tracks all of her stock moves, her buys and sells, and puts it out there, and you can sign up and join that list and make the same move she does.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying. I wonder where everybody's going to get their stock tips now.
Yeah, she's got like an 85% return on investment.
Well, and I would imagine the other 15 are just to show that she loses so that it doesn't look like insider trading. So
yes.
That's just throw a few bucks around to lose just so it doesn't look suspicious.
That's her camouflage. That's her beard to make sure that nobody catches what's going on. No. But I missed that one stock pick 6 years ago, so I can't be, cheating. Bull.
Yeah, well, you are cheating. I mean, it's legal for you to cheat, though, whereas the rest of us, that doesn't work that way. So
yes, I do have two questions. Number one, when she does leave office next year, we got a year still because she just announced she's not running for re-election.
You got to have the farewell tour,
Yes, going to have parades and everything else. How long after her last day in office? How long after she rejoins private life does she stop drawing those eyebrows on?
Well, I mean, she may just have them tattooed on.
Yeah, it's a thought. I hadn't thought about that.
She's
got the
way
money
up there about the hairline. She looks surprised all the time. But it is interesting to see how, and a little disturbing, but change is constant. But when you are too conservative, and your name is Nancy Pelosi for your party, or Hakeem Jeffries, or some of these, when you're actually the more conservative side, that you're getting pushed away a bit by the furthest reach of your party. It's interesting to watch, man, because I mean it is definitely the left and the far left of it has taken pretty much the cake here. When Nancy, I think she's a robot anyway. She probably could have gone on for another 20 years.
And that's the problem. I'm sorry. I am finding myself in the awkward position this morning of agreeing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She said, yeah, I know that's not a good place to be most days. Yeah.
Very dangerous. Yeah.
She said during an interview yesterday, they brought up Nancy Pelosi. For those that aren't aware, Nancy Pelosi is 85. She will be 86, almost about to turn 87 when she leaves office. Greene said yesterday in that interview, I would like to see people leave office a little bit earlier than their mid-80s.
Yeah,
this is a problem. By the way, after, I don't know what this one's going to do to it, the little off-year election we just had this week, but before that, because of comings and goings and everything else, this year has now reclaimed the title as the oldest Congress in American history. We have never had a median age, an average age, or the number of people over 70 in Congress that we have now. Never in the history of the country. That's a problem. Because I'm sorry, when you've got people up there passing legislation to govern how you use things like AI, and they don't even know how to work a flip phone, that's a problem. Yeah. That's just a problem. You don't hire somebody to come oversee your construction project who's never built anything. And that's where we're at right now. They don't even know what all these newfangled power tools are. That's awful fancy. You don't need that. That's who you've got running the construction project. You have to cycle people through. And I'm sorry, the generation before this one that's currently in there making it the oldest Congress, when they got to retirement age, you know what they did? They retired. That's why it's called retirement age. But this crew in Washington,
they like power, baby. They like that power.
I'm going to go home when they finally catch me blowing up, self-imploding at a debate, and I can't avoid it anymore. We got to deal with that problem. Eventually that problem's going to deal with itself, but still. I'd like it sooner rather than later for us to get past this and let them go enjoy their senior years and move on. When we come back, Mandy Gunasekara joins us here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Seabrook.
This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Morning, partner. The sun is up, the coffee is on, and you're starting your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross, here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net is where you need to go to find out more. Joining us now, former EPA Chief of Staff during the first Trump administration, and someone who has way too many irons in the fire right now. Our old friend Mandy Gunasekara joins us. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. It's really good to be back with you.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you again. Haven't talked in a while. Getting enough sleep lately?
Yeah, I am. I'm blessed with a child that actually sleeps close to through the night, so feeling really good.
No, that is fantastic. Yes. And I just want to tell you, no pressure, but if things start to go off course with the interview, I'm just going to swap over and interview the baby.
Okay, perfect. I'll bring her in frame. She'll be good to go. I already briefed her. She knows what's going on.
Well, she's got the genetic structure to excel at this. So I'm just saying it's going to be a win for everybody involved. How many times over the last month plus have you thought, well, I'm glad I'm not in the middle of this shutdown?
A lot, actually. I mean, I talk to a lot of my friends who are working full-time in the various agencies. My bread and butter typically is the Environmental Protection Agency, and it's very stressful. It's so disruptive with the government being shut down, and then when folks aren't getting their paychecks, it is expensive in Washington, D.C. And so it's often that a lot of people don't have built-up savings, and it can strain family resources really quick, really fast. And so it's a very real stressor that is starting to impact people in pretty significant ways.
Well, and to me, from the outside looking in, I've never been in that situation in D.C. like you have, but to me, probably the worst part of it would be the uncertainty, not knowing how long this is going to go on. It's almost impossible to plan how you're going to handle this when you don't know the length of it.
Yeah, and the other piece of it, too, is the Democrats' continued obstinance on this. President Trump and the Republicans have been very gracious, frankly, in offering a clean CR so that they could continue having in-depth policy conversations, whether it's about health care, whether it's about affordability, local economic factors, those sorts of things that are hashed out in the appropriations process. They've been very gracious in offering a clean CR to continue those negotiations in earnest. But what we've seen from the Democrats is they're in their corner and they're not coming out, despite the fact that pressure continues to mount. You have two of the largest federal government unions that have urged them to embrace the clean CR, get the government back up and running so that they can figure out the negotiations for these other policy areas where it is appropriate. But nonetheless, they've continued their obstinance. I'm hoping there's some breakthrough today. There has been, what I've heard from a lot of people in D.C., the lingo is there's been a vibe shift. And so I'm hoping that truly is the case, and you see that play out in the vote that is scheduled for later today.
Let me ask you, let's get your opinion on this, because this has been talked about, gossiped about, whatever you want to, speculated about, that the entire point of this was to keep the shutdown in place until the off-year elections happened on Tuesday, and then they would make moves toward it. Do you think there's any weight to that argument?
Yeah, I do. I think the Democrats have shown a willingness to constantly play politics, and they felt like that the shutdown would motivate their base, which it did in some ways. I will say not all hope is lost on the election. I've been thinking a lot about it, and each of these states, especially the key ones folks were focused on, whether it's California, New Jersey, or Virginia, these are deep blue states. Now, obviously, President Trump is different. When he's on the top of the ballot, these states aren't as deep blue, or at least Virginia, for example. But Virginia and New Jersey and California, generally speaking, are deep blue states. It was always an uphill battle, but the Democrats nonetheless wanted to motivate some of their key bases, and they felt like they did. Now that that's past us, I feel like they're going to have to shift focus and deal with the fact that the broader American electorate, the broader constituency really is feeling the consequences of the shutdown. They want it to end. They want them to stop playing political games, get the government back running so that they can hash out these various policy debates in a very legitimate, more thoughtful way.
Well, and I hate to say this, but if you play the long game, if you look at this down the road, this might ultimately be a good thing for Republicans, because after a year of Mayor Stalin in New York City, after a year of the Democratic control in Virginia, and seeing how things go for a year, that might have an effect they're not counting on next year in the midterms, I would think.
Yeah, I was thinking about this yesterday, that clarity is a gift, especially in politics. And what the Democrats do really well is they will push the same policies that you're going to see coming from Mamdani, the recently elected mayor-elect in New York City, who is a member of the Democrat Socialist Party, but as President Trump aptly said, he's more of a communist than just a socialist. But nonetheless, the Democrats are constantly pushing these policies. They aren't honest about it. And so there is clarity in seeing the Democrats embrace these policies in some of these key areas. We're going to see how they play out in real time. And it's, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to go well for either of those states, whether it's New Jersey or Virginia. And I certainly don't think it's going to go well for the city of New York. No, definitely not. And I think, to me, the biggest eye-opener in the whole thing was late Tuesday night, about 10, 11 o'clock, Mamdani got up and gave his very strident, shall we say, victory speech, a complete change in tone. Less than 12 hours later, he puts out a video he filmed on a rooftop in New York saying, "Remember, I told you to stop sending me money? Well, it's time to start again because I need money for the transition team." So now Mr. Everything is Free needs $27 from everybody. So I think we immediately saw how this is going to go moving forward, didn't we? Yeah, we've seen this play out time and again throughout history, and it's never good. There's always these promises of, I'll give you everything you want, it'll all be for free, and we're going to live in this utopian society, and that never actually happens. And you saw this in very real time, as you pointed out with Mamdani, turning around and saying, I understand you may be suffering from these affordability crises, something that I exploited to actually get to this position, but I need you to pull out money and give it to me because these elections are expensive and we need to keep this momentum going. It's just, it's really, it's a little tone deaf, frankly. I know he just won, so saying that may not be the most popular thing to say, but I think any American people who are outside of that bubble of the captured voters in New York City, I think they're looking at this and they see it for what it's worth, which is not very much. It's really bad idea. It's a bad, irresponsible approach to governance, and I really worry about the people in New York. Those that can get out will get out. You've already seen the chief of the fire department who's already handed in his resignation, and there are others that are in key positions important to the governance of that city that are going to be stepping down because they see the writing on the wall. That's exactly right. One comparison that I haven't seen drawn here, or one relationship in terms of behaviors, I haven't heard a lot about, but it's kind of obvious to me. Mamdani, through his campaign, through all of this, through now, has run this entire thing like you would run a church. You bring in the adherents, you build up that religious fervor, you promise them manna. When we get to the other side, your reward will be waiting for you. And by the way, I need more money. It just seems like it's another example of conservatives are the party of religion, whereas liberalism is a religion. It's what it looks like to me. Yeah, well, this is something my husband has said, is that when you have a void, when you don't actually go to church and follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, there is a void in your life, and so you look to fill it elsewhere. And what we've seen on the left is that government has become the god. Government in so many different ways, and that's why liberalism uses government as a tool to expand their power and their reach. And when they feel like that is is being curbed in some way, they're willing to go to extreme lengths to defend it, even extreme lengths in the form of violence that we've seen play out in recent times.
Yeah, notice there hasn't been as much discussion about the political violence lately. That conversation almost feels like it kind of died off a little bit quickly. And do you think that's partially because of the absolute Gatling gun speed of the news cycle right now? It just cycles off and we immediately go talk about something else, the next thing we're supposed to be in a panic over?
Yeah, I mean, that is the way of the news cycle. I think that the media thinks that the American people have short memories when it comes to these various events, and especially given the fact that the recent political violence has been against Republicans and conservatives, including the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I think if you're paying attention only to the news cycle, that does seem to be the case. But if you're paying attention outside of that, if you listen to some of these long-form media, whether it's podcasts or you're paying attention to the ongoing college campus tour of TPUSA, you're not forgetting. You're tuned in, and this continues to be a long-term motivating factor just for basic decency, for the continued growth in people actually going to church, which is wonderful news. But then also on the political side, I do think that will continue.
From the Venable Glass.
No matter where you're from, Abbeville, Batesville, DeIberville, or any other ville in the SIP, you're starting your day off right. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
I try to call you, but on the midnight watch I realize why twice you ran away.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi mornings, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. We've got Mandy Gunasekara on the show with us, and I'm sorry, I was laughing because during the break, Mike Lee has posted a meme that I saw on X. It's a picture of a crowd on the wrong side of the Berlin Wall with the guard on the other side, and it said, socialism is so good they had to make a wall so people wouldn't escape from it, which pretty well sums it up. So the wall around New York City is coming at some point, I have no doubt.
Escape from New York, man. Yes,
escape from New York. Where is Kurt Russell when we need him? That's where we're at.
Call me Snake.
How do you see things? Put on your Karnak hat, if you would, for a moment, Mandy, and when we get done, I'll explain who Karnak is if you don't know. I'm old.
Thank you. I'm lost on that one.
Yeah,
okay.
It's old Johnny Carson skit where he was a Middle Eastern psychic, and he would come on and he would tell what the answers were.
Karnak the Magnificent?
Karnak the Magnificent, yes. Anyway, we're about to get way off in the weeds, so let's get back on topic here. Let's get your crystal ball out. I'll put it like that. How do you see things playing out over the next 12 months with everything that is going on right now? Where do you think we're going to be when we're sitting here the night before the midterms next year?
I think we'll be sitting in a really good spot. I think what's going to happen is, yes, President Trump has been traveling around the globe trying to reestablish stability. And that stability is certainly the root of it is peacekeeping. But the other opportunity, or the other element of it, is economic opportunity for the United States of America. And every single one of these places where he's been trying to settle longstanding violence, he has also come out of that situation with some sort of economic deal to the benefit of the American people. So he's been traveling the globe doing that. Now, he said this in Miami just a couple days ago, that he was going to be at home and focus on pushing policies consistent with his domestic economic message, which is working to address the ongoing affordability crisis, curbing Bidenflation. We've had slight relief from that, but there's more to be done on that front. And then continuing to increase safety by closing the borders and strengthening our border security across the country. And so President Trump, I think you're going to see him, instead of traveling the globe, he's going to be traveling the country. He's already been doing this, but he's going to be hyper-focused on that. I think we'll also see the benefits of his international and domestic policies really manifesting themselves in lower prices across the board. We've already seen this with gasoline, but you're going to have electricity prices stabilize because of his energy dominance agenda. And the reality around a lot of these ideas is that the policies themselves take time to actually be implemented and for we, the consumers and taxpayers, to truly feel the effects. So I think we'll be sitting in a stronger economy. I think that our dollar is going to go further. And I think that from an election perspective, I think we'll be sitting stronger than is typically the case for midterms.
Well, and, you know, I think you hit one very key point there, which is a conflict with Americans as they sit today. We are no longer a country known for its patience. And what President Trump is doing is laying the foundation, and everybody's screaming, why isn't the skyscraper built yet? Well, you got to do one step at a time. You have to lay that foundation to build on. That's what he's been doing during this first 10 months of the administration, but people no longer have the attention span to wait that long. They want it now, bigger, better, and all for me. And I think that's the biggest challenge we have in front of us, to be honest.
Yeah, I do. And I think, too, it's a reminder. Americans are quick to forget. We were just talking about the news cycle, trying to push stories below, but it's true. Americans are quick to forget that during the 4 years under the Biden administration, our country went in absolute disarray. There was major instability abroad that was creating all sorts of economic tensions here. You had depressed job opportunities, and Bidenflation spiked. It was so expensive to go to the grocery store. Let's go back to 2021 and 2022. So President Trump came in and had serious problems to deal with. He is dealing with them, but I urge, I know the good listeners of SuperTalk Mississippi, they understand patience, but tell your friends, tell your cousins, tell those all around you just to let the president's policies, whether it's tariffs, whether it's the policies embedded in the One Big Beautiful Bill or his continued deregulatory efforts that are getting rid of hidden taxes on everything from gas stoves to gasoline in our car to meat at the grocery store. Let those play out, and it will reap so many benefits.
That's exactly right. Now, I will say I'm in a unique situation here because you and I have talked many times. I find myself for the first time having a different opinion than you on one thing. You said that the mainstream media thinks we have short attention spans. I'm going to disagree with that. In my opinion, I think they believe the American people are stupid.
Yeah, that's true. They do think that. But I'll tell you, when I traveled around Mississippi and I meet with the voters of Mississippi, we are not stupid.
No.
They're very tuned into what's going on and see the big picture for sure.
Mandy Gunasekara, I appreciate it. I've got to go ahead and get out of the way for Fox News, SuperTalk Mississippi News, and I got to run to the store and buy that baby a puppy because that's been the best part of the whole thing. I love you, but come on. We got to hear the chatter in the background. That's awesome. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day, both.
All right, now to the important stuff.
Your VIP pass to hear what the most influential Mississippians are talking about.
This is very important.
Huge news. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Making your way the only way they know how. Yeah. That's just a little bit more than the law will allow. I'm a good old boy. You know my mama loved me, but she don't understand. They keep her showing my hands and not my face on TV.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Last hour of mornings brought to you by MWG Employer Services. You can call 601-206-7966 right now or go to MWGEmployerServices.com to find out more. We are now joined by the man himself, the executive director of the Mississippi Department of Transportation. Brad White joins us. And Brad, I have a small stack of complaints people forwarded for me to ask you, but I'm not going to mess with that right now. I'm sure you get enough of those on a daily basis. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Send them on to the office. We'll put them with the rest.
Yeah, well, it's that stack's going to become a fire hazard because I've noticed that's one thing that everyone loves to complain about. They have two types of complaints about MDOT. When they think you should be working on something and when you're working on something. It's kind of a no-win situation, isn't it?
Well, I can understand the feelings because when you think about it, at the very best of circumstances, we're a nuisance because everything we do is right in the middle of where everyone's trying to drive and carry out life, whether it's getting to work or school or church or wherever else. But the good news is wherever we are, that's a sign of progress, and hopefully we're doing with each passing day a better job of trying to assess how we do it and doing it as efficiently and as quickly as possible to deliver a good product back to the taxpayer. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's no way to avoid anytime we work on a bridge or a highway or anything like that. It's right in the middle of where everyone's trying to drive and carry on with their life. So I get the frustration.
Well, and sometimes it's not even you. I saw the announcement, the MDOT alert that went out, the advisory, that I-55 down here in southwest Mississippi in Lincoln County, both northbound and southbound, are going to be closed for about an hour Sunday morning, and that's got nothing to do with working on the road, does it?
Well, I mean, you have situations where people are transporting different things through the state that requires us to close down certain roadways. You've got other situations like what happened in Yazoo County the other day where we had to close down a section of Highway 49 for the safety of people. You've got other situations where people are very careless and not looking at their phone when they're driving in a work zone and there's a wreck that could block traffic where lanes are already shut off due to construction, and that complicates things in a horrible way. Not too long ago, we had over on I-20 the interstate was shut down, I think, for like 9 hours. Was because there was an accident involving an 18-wheeler that spilt some chemicals or something, and DEQ had to bring in a hazmat unit to deal with that. None of that was related to the work being done, but that in conjunction with the work made for the whole interstate to be closed down. So we do find ourselves, just like the motoring public, having to react to various things that come along.
Well, and that's like that planned closure Sunday. They're pulling a transmission line, the electric company is, across the interstate, all the way across. So you got to shut the whole thing down while they get it across. Won't take long, but you're still going to get complaints, I have no doubt.
Well, it's for everybody's safety. And, you know, hopefully we're doing a better job in trying to get information out because, you know, Senator Cochran used to say that people are normally down on what they're not up on. So we do have a responsibility as the Department of Transportation through our Public Affairs Division, which does a phenomenal job of trying to get information out to the motoring public ahead of time. That's why we encourage everybody to use our MDOT traffic app, where we try to update people on everything from accidents that could impact traffic to things like what you're talking about, where the interstate will be closed down due to moving a line across the interstate, so that they can properly plan, you know, for what is going to be taking place. So we do have a responsibility of not just reacting, but trying to be proactive and making sure people know what to expect on the routes as quickly and as well as we can. And obviously we sometimes may fall short, but I think we do a good job of trying to put that out for people so they can be ready for what's happening.
Well, I've got an off-the-wall question because that story and what we're talking about made me think of it. Have we done any recent studies? What's the traffic like? What's the vehicle count like on I-55? It's going to be different in different areas, obviously.
Yeah, don't get me to lying to you. We can get that information readily, but I do know at I-20 and 55 is the highest traffic count in the state. That's where the most traffic converges, is right in that area of the stack, you know, 55 just north of the stack, and in that area 20. So that is a high area there in the capital city, and it's where two interstates, you know, come together. So, but comparative to the rest of the state, that's a very high traffic volume area. So when we have places like when we were doing the work on the Pearl River Bridge over 55, it was necessary work. It was providing for the taxpayers and the traveling public to have the ability to have confidence in the structures that they're driving over, that it's going to be able to hold them. I mean, it was required maintenance and things that make the product a lot better, but it does come with a temporary inconvenience. So we appreciate the patience that people give us, and most people are very patient and understanding, of that.
Well, and you have to be. If you have any sense, you realize what's going on and why it's happening, and you should be happy about it. But most people aren't. That's the way it works. What's the biggest project MDOT has going right now in the state, do you think?
Well, here a few years ago, thanks to Senator Roger Wicker, was able to get an extra $1 billion in Mississippi's portion of the Federal Highway Administration reauthorization. With Senator Hyde Smith now chairing the THUD Appropriations Committee in the Senate that oversees all the funding for transportation from grants and other things, earmarks. And then the legislature's commitment through appropriations of supplemental funds. Our capacity program the last few years we've breathed rebirth back into that program. So you've got a $200+ million project going on in Jackson County on Highway 57. You've got another nearly $200 million project on Highway 15 in Tippah County, all the way down into Union County and others. We're getting ready to break ground on a huge project that was a $100 million plus project on Highway 7 in Lafayette County. We're moving towards construction of a section of I-55 in DeSoto County, Highway 19 in Philadelphia, of the I-20 project that we just talked about, the Flowers Interchange and work over the Big Black, 49 in Harrison County. So we've got huge projects going on all over the state, I-10 down in Hancock and Harrison. That are significant. We're moving towards, we're completing now the I-55 in Madison County that's between the Madison 463 exit and up to the Gluckstadt, where the county's built a road over the interstate. We're ready now to go in and build the approaches to that road, creating an interchange there, widening the interstate to accommodate the traffic. The same Lakeland over in Rankin County. So we're hopeful that the legislature will continue that commitment into putting funds into the capacity program where we can award those two projects that are desperately needed. But between the two of them, you're looking at another $250 million investment that it would take to construct that. So this is a team sport. So due to the support and help of our congressional delegation, along with the legislature and the commission, we've been able to move a lot of really significant projects around the state. And that's before you get into our paving and our maintenance and our operations and the safety projects and all the other aspects of our budget that pours, $1 billion+ every year into the investment of the transportation system around the state.
Does it ever feel like you're not making progress? And you are. You're making incredible progress and got stuff, as you just listed off, all over the state. But there's just as many, if not more, projects you'd like to get to waiting for you to get done with those. Does it feel like you'll just never catch up?
In a way. I mean, I choose to be kind of positive about it. I mean, the fact of the matter is the department's got more resources to carry out our mission than we've ever had. The commissioners in each district have more money going to projects in their district than any commissioner prior to them. The legislature has committed more money to the transportation infrastructure than any time prior in the legislature's history. The good thing about transportation is it tends to bridge the party line. So when I say we have congressional support, I'm talking about 100% of our delegation, from Congressman Thompson to Senator Hyde Smith and all those others in the delegation. So, I choose to be positive about the fact that we've done a lot. Now we have a whole lot more still left to do, but I find that it's easier to dream about the future than fuss about the negative, So I feel real good about where we are, and I feel like we're building the credibility necessary that the leadership will feel confident in their ability to continue investing in this core function of government.
Brad White with us, Executive Director of MDOT. Can you stick around through the break?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. We'll continue talking with Brad after he hydrates right after this on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
There's dusty fields, no matter where you go. You may change your mind, 'cause the weeds are high where corn don't grow. change your mind, 'cause the weeds are high where corn don't grow.
From the Venable Glass.
Wake up, get up, and start your day right with Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Pound it down, load it up and truck it. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done? We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound up, watch our bandit run. Old Smoke has got them ears on, he's hot on your trail. He ain't gonna rest till you're in jail.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk, Mississippi. And as you can tell, Lance working overtime, pulling the bumper music for our guest, Brad White, the executive director of MDOT. And, you know, I asked the question about traffic because it just feels to me, and maybe I'm just getting old, Brad, but it seems like there's a lot more traffic on the roads in Mississippi than there was, say, 10 years ago.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, you've got people moving goods and transporting people with all of the economic development that's been the focus of Governor Reeves and governors before him. Keep in mind that one of the things that they're most interested in is being able to get goods and people in and out of the state and in and out of their facility. So every time we have an economic development prospect that comes to the state, there's an aspect of that investment into the state that's going to deal with our transportation network, all designed to pick up and carry on with the added capacity or the added traffic to the roadway. And the other important thing to remember is about, 12, 15 years ago, due to the fact that there was not proper investment into the transportation network of the state, the commission at the time had to make the unfortunate decision to divert money away from the capacity construction program in order to put all available resources into the maintenance of the existing system. So for over 10 years, as population, as traffic growth happened on the system that we have throughout the state, the program designed to keep building out that system to accommodate the traffic was set on a shelf. Unless there was some type of federal grant or federal earmark that came along that would allow you to piece together funds to build certain projects, by and large, that capacity construction program had a moratorium over it. So we had a long period in the state's history, recent history, where traffic grew, and the program designed to keep the system ahead of that was defunct. So that's why I go back to the appreciation we have for Senator Wicker's leadership in getting the extra money in the Federal Highway Administration's reauthorization, to the legislature's investment. Governor Reeves here a few years ago had a proposal that called for over $1 billion worth of investment from the surplus into the transportation network around the state, all geared toward the knowledge of what that would do in contributing toward the economic development of the state. And it's due to that commitment that our leadership has had from the federal delegation down that's allowed us to start that program back, and we've just got a lot of ground to catch up on. So that's one of the reasons that you see the traffic you've got, whether you go to DeSoto County, you go to Madison County, areas on the coast, Metro Jackson, is because for all of those years the department, due to lack of resources, was not able to keep the program running that was meant to keep the system ahead of the traffic growth. So now we're playing catch up. But again, as I said earlier, I'd rather not complain about that because there's nothing we can do about it now, other than to try to spend the money wisely and try to be sure that we're doing the best we can to deliver this product back to the taxpayers. And I will tell you this too. We have about a $1.6 billion budget. When you look at our budget, 97% of that money in some way touches a project, whether that be among the other modes of rail, aeronautics, public transit, ports and waterways, or whether that be highways, bridges, etc. 97% of our budget goes in some form or fashion, touches a project throughout this state. And that's a claim that I'm very proud of because it shows that over the last few years we've worked very diligently at trying to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money, because we believe that the best way to get what you want is to deserve what you want. And I think we've been able to illustrate that to our leadership, and I think that's why they're willing to work with us and putting together the resources necessary to do what the people are expecting.
Now, you mentioned funding again, because that's the only reason you're able to do any of this. There's one other aspect. Let's just get an update and get your thoughts on the adjusted fuel tax situation in Mississippi.
Well, we had promoted some ideas of providing the department some diversions from other existing streams of revenue that would not have required a tax increase of any kind. But the decision was made by the leadership, looking outside of just transportation, to move our tax model, if you will, away from an income tax-based model to more of a user model, if you will. And I think the leadership knew that if they were going to take the strategic step to eventually remove the income tax, that you had to do something to take care of infrastructure in the state, because leading up until the time that they passed that piece of legislation, the way that they had been filling in the gap, if you will, was through one-time money that came from sales tax or everything else, all the other tax revenue in the state. When we had a surplus, they would invest into the transportation network. So the decision was made that they would come up with a plan that was a net tax decrease for the people of Mississippi, but at the same time would adjust the fuel tax in a way that would generate more revenue for both the Department of Transportation as well as the Office of State Aid Roads, which deals with the county roads around the state. That was the first time in nearly 40 years that the legislature had taken that step, the first time in nearly 40 years that our budget had been significantly adjusted. So it was a very welcomed way, and not just the fact that we were going to get additional money, but because they did it in a way to where you could count on the money year after year and you could budget for the money, that also allows all of the partners in the private sector that we have to rely on in delivering this product to be able to know that they can count on us having a revenue stream to carry on the work. So they were willing to build out and buy the equipment and try to hire the people and do the things necessary to do the work. You're not going to get a contractor with any sense to go take out a $2 million loan on a crane if he can't see that the revenue is going to be consistent out into the future. So not just the fact that they gave us more money, but the manner in which they gave it to us was exactly what we needed. Now, I wish I could tell you that was going to be the end-all, fix-all, but unfortunately what we do is very expensive, and what we do, the cost continually goes up. So this is a topic that while we've made a lot of headway, eventually it will require us to come back and look at it, something that we're going to have to monitor on a continual basis if we plan to continue investing into this core function of government.
Well, we've got the new session coming up starting in January. Anything you'd like to see happen in relation to MDOT?
The main thing is the lottery funds. The legislature made the decision to give us the first $80 million of lottery. The commission made the decision to devote 100% of those funds primarily to the 2-lane highways around the state, which are very important. And when you look at the overall program, I guess with limited funds, they were getting left behind. In some cases, we've been able, due to the lottery, to rehabilitate over 3,000 miles of 2-lane highway around the state. That's touching almost all 82 counties in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But the lottery money has a sunset on it for 2028. So if that was to sunset and we lose that revenue, the positive gains we made by virtue of the fuel tax adjustment would be erased. So we're very hopeful that the legislature will remove that sunset clause and make the $80 million from the lottery a more permanent part, or a permanent part of our budget into the future. Beyond that, I mean, it's the same thing. As I say, it's not just important that we get money, but it's important how we get it. We need our federal program to be unencumbered from earmarks. We don't need the legislature going in and earmarking parts of our special funds, because that limits our ability to leverage federal dollars and to make sure that we're making the state funds that we have go as far as necessary. So we need a clean appropriation bill with regard to the federal program. And then, like I said, we've got these 2 major construction projects, both in Madison County and Rankin County, that are coming up, and I hope that we can see a continued investment that we've seen in previous sessions, where in the event of a surplus, they provide the money necessary to go on and let those contracts and get those needed projects underway so we can move traffic in those areas a little bit better.
You know, you talk about the $80 million from the lottery fund and wishing they could do away with the sunset clause on that to where it continues past 2028. I know you would like this. Do you think there's any chance of getting that $80 million increased to a larger number?
Everything above the $80 million goes to education, and that's a powerful lobby to have to deal with. I don't think that it's reasonable to expect the leadership to take away from that. I think they would have to find a way to provide for education in some other stream before we could reasonably expect to receive more of the $80 million. Now, having said that, I would welcome it. I mean, they can put all the money they want to in public education, but if the school buses can't cross the bridges, I don't know what good it's going to do. So I do think what we spend, that water kind of raises all ships. But I would be satisfied if the sunset's gone.
Brad White, the executive director of MDOT. I'm sure you have some orange and white barrels to go count somewhere, so we're gonna let you get to it. Appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us today.
Thank you, Dave. It's always a pleasure.
Always enjoy talking to you, buddy. We will continue here on Mornings Super Talk Mississippi right after this on a Friday morning. Keep it here.
The pendulum of memory goes back and forth on a summer breeze, singing old church hymns and nursery rhymes.
From the Seabrook.
You're waking up to what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross. Right now on Super Talk Mississippi.
Super Talk Mississippi Mornings, presented by the folks at Community Bank. A Community Bank, they're ready for you. They're there for every part of your financial journey. Looking to manage your personal finances? Their banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. Ready to grow your business? They offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. And if you're dreaming of a new home, the mortgage specialists at Community Bank are there to make it seamless for you from start to finish. All of it is designed with you in mind. They're more than just a bank. They're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, equal housing lender. As a key part of the football scoreboard tonight, Lance, I want to get your opinion on something. Three teams that were 0 on the year had not won a single game, played in a playoff game last night. Your thoughts on that?
The reality is that a lot of these teams play up in the early part of the season, and then they get to their district or region, and then they get into those region battles, and there may be only 4 teams in that region. So in that case, the fourth team generally makes it in, even if they don't have a W. We had one team, I think it was Salem, that had not scored a point all season. Up until last week's game, they were still playoff eligible. Had they won that game, they would have been able to go to the playoffs. Well, they lost that game and got shut out 22-0. So they went through the whole season without scoring a touchdown, but yet still could have made the playoffs had they won. They could have won 1-0. And so, I understand with the different divisions and classifications, if you allow cross-pollination, 7A team to play a 2A team, some of those records are going to be terrible. But at the end of the day, I don't believe teams that have not won a game should probably be in a playoff. But that's my opinion. And again, I'm not a trophy for everyone person.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it smells like, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and MAIS kind of rejiggered everything so that, and we mentioned that with the Marshall Academy deal. Where it's
I do just want to again say I told you so. I called that when they announced that whole playoff system.
But I don't know. I would much prefer. It's like anything. I don't think in college a team with a losing record should get a bowl game. Period. I don't care if your graduation rate is 98% or whatever. You're talking about playing football, not, spelling bees. So at the end of the day, I'm more of I think winning is important when it comes to playing into some type of championship. You need to have a winning record or better.
If the games themselves don't matter, if you can play an entire season and not win a single game but still get to call yourself a playoff team, what's the point of being a playoff team?
It reminds me of going to those 8-year-old travel ball baseball games.
Oh, no.
So if we're doing that in high school, I do have a problem with that. Because, I know everybody wants there to be sportsmanship, and that's truly one of the things you learn through it, but you also learn how to win. You learn that losing is not any fun, and winning, you got to go out there and work really, really hard to do that. Some teams will work extremely hard and never win a game, but the reality is you're not that good, and you probably don't deserve a playoff. That's an opinion. I know it sounds harsh, but it's coming from somebody that spent a little time lacing up the cleats, and a loss is a loss. I couldn't sleep. I was distraught with any loss. It didn't matter when it was, what it was. I hated losing, man, and it motivated me to work harder.
A big part of our problem is the fact that you felt you had to put, and I understand it, put the disclaimer in there about, I know that sounds harsh. Well, if you don't win at all the entire season, by definition, you're a loser.
Yeah, that's my opinion, right? We all have them.
Yeah, well, but again, disclaimers, and we have allowed ourselves to reach the point in society to where this performative, self-destructive empathy has taken over everything. Well, we must be concerned with their feelings. Not always. Life is full of winners and losers. That's the way it works.
I had a great experience with that as I coached years ago, probably a decade ago. I was coaching a baseball team, a summer league, and had a bunch of kids that just didn't want to show up, and college level kids from all over the country. And so, I had a good team, but about half of them didn't want to come, didn't want to show up, didn't want to pay, and all that. So I finally had to cut them. I got down to about 7 or 8 guys, and I had to promote a handful of kids off of a high school team that I had to play with a bunch of college guys, and they were playing wood bat ball, and it was a first for many of them. But that second half of the season, as those kids, kind of adjusted and were able to play at that level, we ended up winning the whole championship. And we weren't very well received, because we beat teams that we shouldn't have with guys that were not in college. And that rubbed a lot of people wrong. So I guess my experience with it is, no matter how good you are, no matter what, if you do it all the right way, there's still somebody's going to have a problem with it, right? People want to win, and when you beat somebody else, they're usually upset about it. And I like that. I like that give and take where, I hope you are mad that we just beat you. So why don't you try harder? Why don't you come better prepared? Why don't you put forth a better effort or coach better, whatever the problem is? I don't like there to be a winning mindset through losing in any way, shape, or form.
I'm sorry, losing is life's way of teaching you to improve.
Well, the natural, we watched it every day, pretty much my whole life. I had it on VHS, and anytime something was coming, I'd always put it into that where Roy Hobbs has to go sit in the room with the shrink and all the other players. And the shrink is up there saying, losing is a disease. It's like a ship at sea, continuously rocking. Losing is a disease, like syphilis. And finally, Roy Hobbs just says, I've had enough of this. I'm getting up and leaving. And he walks out. And that's, losing is a disease. And I think that it's something that I like winning. I learned early that losing is painful. It's terrible. I want the spotlight. I want to be the one that people look at and say, he's the reason why they won that game. You want to have that responsibility if you're a player. Whether you're in government or whatever, you have to, I think that you learned to handle that responsibility a bit better when winning is important, but you do it with sportsmanship.
Well, to me, the only reward you should get for losing is how much better you're going to be if you let that motivate you for the next time.
I agree, 100%.
That's it.
My dad would always say something to me, and I worked very hard at, whether it was school or sports, but he would always say when I felt like I had done enough, he'd say, you think you've done enough today? I'd say, I did this, I did that, and this, that, and the other. And he goes, well, there's always somebody working harder than you.
Yes. There's always somebody better than you.
So I took that at heart as a young kid, and I said, I'll never be outworked. I'm not going to let somebody outwork me. They may be better than me. They may be smarter, but I'm going to put in the effort every day at whatever I do, and I try to live by that. I'm not on my best every day, but I try. And when you fall down, you got to get up and try harder.
The way this morning has gone, for the last 2 hours especially here, I think moving forward, we're going to have a name for the Friday edition of Mornings when I'm here. It's Take No Prisoners Friday.
Yeah, I like it.
Because we have kicked every issue in the face this morning, I think. And sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you have to talk about the things nobody wants to talk about because, I don't want to hurt any feelings. Well, hurt some feelings. That's how progress is made.
I love the point you made earlier when you were talking about New York City and socialism versus communism and what that really is. And that, and generally, you've seen quite a few socialist, communist governments that have had to turn the guns inside, and it's a prison. It's not a place of freedom. And if it was so wonderful, why were people breaking out all the time, climbing fences, risking getting shot? And I think that history is something that we have had a tendency to forget because it is uncomfortable. It's like losing, right? It sucks. So hey, let's not think about it. Let's just get a trophy. And the reality is, socialism and communism are going to fail everywhere, especially in a country that built its government off of Greek values. Let's be realistic here. Where did this system come from? The many renditions of it that we work with today. This comes from Greek civilization. So if whatever governmental ideas you have, if they don't jive up with the baseline and the foundation, it ain't going to work.
Well, I would make one caveat to that. Socialism, communism, they're always going to fail. What you can do is affect how quickly that happens. Yes. And how you do that is by being willing, and having the moral fortitude to look at something that everyone says you shouldn't be talking about and talk about it loudly.
And make people
in
uncomfortable.
Blunt terms.
Make people a little uncomfortable. Socialism to me is like that rock that's just right on the edge of the cliff. You just go push it over. That's how you get rid of it. You don't sit there and talk to it and pet it and hope that it doesn't fall. You just get rid of it.
Well, it'll be okay. And I swear, a year or two from now, the first person that suggests putting together some kind of aid to go into New York City to help people,
it's coming, brother. It's coming.
You know it is. It's a self-inflicted wound. I think we need to let it bleed out.
Let them bleed out.
We can start over with a little more sense.
Or we'll just call in Snake and let him go in.
Oh yeah, well now he'll be in the middle period between when it bleeds out and the new one starts. Snake Plissken. Eye patch sold separately. Final segment of Mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi, and you got to look at your money real close. I'll tell you what I'm talking about right after this. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Truck.
Waking up Mississippi. From South Haven to Scuba, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
It's a wonder woman.
Yeah, baby. I feel like Telly Savalas should be involved in this.
Man, I can almost feel the breeze from the afro swaying right now.
There was something so funny I found on YouTube yesterday. It was Telly Savalas singing love songs, and it was set in like the 70s. So he's wearing like this all black, and there's this grainy kind of 70s-ish backlay with a woman there, and it's like, it was the cheesiest thing but coolest thing I've ever seen at the same time. Telly was a man, dude. He was a dude, wasn't he?
Oh, he was. And he always made sure to remind you who loves you, baby.
Oh, yeah, who loves you, baby.
That was a great catchphrase because it really focused your attention on the fact that, here comes Telly.
The Players Club, man.
Hide the women. Here comes Telly. And then you moved on. Okay. Several places and several other states have had this problem. The Tylertown Police Department down in Walthall County put out a notice, attention local businesses and residents. Fake money has been circulating in Tylertown.
Ooh.
Now, here's the problem. Okay? It's the motion picture money again. You look at it, and where it normally says United States of America, it says for motion picture use only. It says that several places on there. It doesn't have the security features, anything else, and people are taking this stuff. And then when they go to the, deposit it that day, the bank says, no, it's not real. It's a great indictment of just how little we pay attention to things. And how easily we can get distracted. But this is actually a thing going on. As I said, Tylertown Police Department put that post out, Tuesday. So that's going on in Mississippi. They're handing out, and you can go online and order this stuff. It's perfectly legal to have it, because to anyone who spends a tenth of a second actually looking at it, you realize, oh, this isn't real. They just make it to use in movies and TV shows. From a distance, if you don't examine it or can't see it close enough, it looks real. But it's very clearly and obviously not real if you're paying any attention whatsoever. The little security pins don't work on it, whole 9 yards. There is a guy, I don't know if you ever heard of him. His name is Darren Brown. He has he developed a big reputation over in the United Kingdom for doing mentalist tricks and almost hypnosis tricks, things like that, and spread over here. Well, he came to New York. This is like 10, 15 years ago. Nobody really knew who he was, so he decided to try something. He got a bunch of blank white strips of paper cut in the same size as currency bills. Loaded those and nothing else in his wallet, and went around and using word tricks and distraction and mind tricks. He bought a $2,000 necklace from a jewelry store in New York, handed them over the blank slips of paper, and the guy took it, wrote him a receipt, and he walked out the door. And then after he was gone, one of the other workers in the store said, why did you do that? That's not money. That's blank slips of paper. And he's like, well, no, it wasn't. Then he opens the register and sees it. That's how easy it is to be fooled by these things. Because trust me, if a jewelry store owner in New York can be convinced over a 10-minute conversation to take blank white sheets of paper instead of money, passing these things off that look fairly real, oh, that's easy. There's no trick to that whatsoever. So I say all that to say this. The world is full of jerks. I almost used another word, but then there would have been a meeting. So we'll go with jerks that are looking for ways to take advantage of you. Pay attention. Examine everything. Don't do things just out of habit or by rote. If somebody hands you a $20 bill, look at it. Actually look at it.
It's surprising that there isn't more, with AI and some of the higher-end tools you have now, that there isn't more counterfeiting like that. That is very difficult or even almost impossible to pick up.
Yeah, another place on the 20 that I'm looking at that the Tylertown Police Department posted, up at the top where it normally would say United States of America, it says picture purposes only. Motion picture purposes only.
It's that fake money.
It's not subtle. No. It is, but it isn't if you stop and actually look at it. But let me ask you, Lance, last time somebody handed you some cash, say you went and bought something, and they handed you your change back. When's the last time you actually looked at those bills instead of just looking at the numbers to make sure it added up right?
Man, I don't do that stuff. I have my butler do that for me. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly. You don't understand when you're portion off.
I don't look at any. I mean, if it's money, I'm putting it in the wallet. I need to pay better attention and not have my butler do that. So
that's going on right now in Mississippi. It does every so often. We're in another wave of it, so pay attention. My friend, I had a good time today.
Always fun, man. Can't wait to see you the next time.
We'll be back with Take No Prisoners Friday again next week.
Well, we also have Hurt Feelings Friday also. So there's one of our Hurts and Feelings Friday.
They kind of go together. They're two sides of the same coin. Next Friday at 6:06. My friend, I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.